Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. So I know I've titled this video to be another Rapture dream, and it is in a way, but it's also kind of a tribulation dream, I think. But so basically, I had a dream last Friday, and when my husband woke me up out of the dream, he was at work at the time, and so basically when he called that he was on his way home, my phone ringing basically woke me up. But right after that, like, I got up and I did a couple things around the house, and I was thinking about the dream, but then I very quickly forgot about it, honestly, until I was watching one of Tim Henderson's videos about the dream he had recently. And as soon as I heard his dream, it was like all of a sudden my dream came right back to me. And I remember looking over to my husband whenever I had watched his video. We were in bed at the time. I look over at him and I told him, I was like, oh my goodness, I have to tell you something. And so I told my husband about my dream and how it kind of lined up with his. So I have been praying about it over the last several days on whether I should even share it. And I haven't necessarily gotten any confirmations, but it's just been something that's been nagging on my mind that I might need to be sharing. And so that's what I'm just going to go ahead and do. And I'm just going to pray. And I hope you guys pray with me that my dream is edifying and and that the Lord is sounding his alarm through me and through many others in their dreams. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know what I dreamed, and at the end of the day, it's what I dreamed, and it is what it is. Can't change it. So basically, I was dreaming that I was at my childhood home, and I was outside in the front yard, and I was looking up at the sky, and I was looking at the stars. And so I'm actually from a suburb of Houston area. That's where I grew up. And anyone who's from Houston or any other big city, you'll know that, like, most nights you only get like one star, if any. Like, that's your night sky. Like, it's mostly light pollution. You don't really get a lot of stars. But in my dream, I was looking up at the sky and I could see the constellations, and I could see so many stars. But the interesting thing about the constellations were that it was kind of like in Stellarium, how you have the individual stars, but then almost like drawn in is the caricature of the constellation with the stars connecting it. And it was like I could see that attached to the constellations in the sky. So that was really interesting. And so I was looking up, and there was a new constellation, and I was trying to get a better look at it. And so in my dream, I crossed the street to my neighbor's front yard, and I'm like looking up at the sky at this new constellation I'd never seen before. And it's like I'm trying to look between their front patio and the tree in the front yard. And I'm looking up towards the roof between those two objects at this constellation. And it's a cougar with a old-timey kind of like alarm clock with the big bell alarm on either side in the cougar's mouth, with the clock face on the front. And it's holding that handle at the top of the alarm clock. And I just heard in my spirit during the dream, it's time. It's time. This is the sign that it is time. And as I'm looking at that and I'm hearing this in my spirit, it was almost as if my eyes kind of unfocused or refocused a little bit, and their dog was on the roof holding a thing of mail in its mouth, like letters or something like that in its mouth, and it was filling in the space of the constellation exactly, and he was just holding the position with that in his mouth. And then I was temporarily confused as to whether I had seen it or not. And then the dog jumped off of the roof, and it was in the dream, the house was really small. Like somehow the dog jumping off the roof wasn't like jumping off a real roof where you've got super high ceilings and it's coming down a full story. It seemed like it was like a smaller, like low to the ground roof in the dream. And as soon as the dog jumped down, my neighbor was asking me, "What are you looking at? What are you doing?" And I was like, "I just saw the cougar with the clock, and it's time. Jesus is coming. It's time." And as soon as I was saying this, I'm telling him what happened or what I was seeing, I looked down the street, and um, and it was almost like, I don't know if it was getting lighter, but I could visibly see in the sky, almost as if the sky was lighter than the object, an object in the sky hovering over the street. And my first thought was the alien. It's an alien. It's a spaceship. But then as I continued to look at it, I was starting to see, oh, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a spaceship, not a UFO. That's like a helicopter or like a plane of some sort that I just thought for a second was this UFO. And then as soon as I recognized that it wasn't a UFO, my phone rang, and that's when I woke up. And so that was my dream. And initially, like, I was thinking on this, and I'm like thinking to myself, okay, am I just starting to, I don't know, cherry pick items that I'm viewing from other sources, and am I playing them out in a story in my head, or is that, a dream from the Lord that, like, it's time? And I think that's why I kind of just like brushed it off initially and didn't think on it again until I was listening to Tim Henderson's video about his dream. And he dreamt that up in the night sky, he saw a scroll unroll, and in the scroll was written, "It's time." And when I heard that, oh my goodness, my dream came back to me. And I got chills, and that's whenever I told my husband, like, this is interesting. This is super interesting. I had a dream of the same exact verbiage. And so I feel like I am hearing that phrase more and more from other watchmen and watchwomen. And, as the world gets crazier and crazier, everyone is very anticipatory of something. Everyone keeps saying, oh, something big is coming. And of course, we all know what that is. The big thing that's coming is Jesus, plain and simple. And our joining him, the marriage ceremony of the bridegroom to his bride, which is the church. And so I wanted to share this dream with you. There's a couple aspects on it that even as I'm speaking are kind of like jumping out at me. The fact that, like, I heard that it was time, or I felt that it was time, and I felt that in my spirit when I saw the cougar. I did recognize pretty quickly that cougars are also known, especially in the Texas area, as like mountain lions. So mountain lions and cougars are kind of the same thing. The fact that I didn't see an actual lion like I have in the past, but I saw a type of lion. So that did stand out to me. And then what's standing out to me right now as I'm speaking is that there was almost like a deception in my understanding of what I was viewing. I was viewing it for what it was. And then as I recognized what it was, instantaneously, it morphed into a deception. Like the cougar with the constellation of the cougar with the clock in its mouth, the alarm clock. As soon as I heard it was time, I'm seeing now this dog with mail in its mouth. And I was immediately redirected to something that it was not, and almost deceived that I wasn't seeing the cougar with the clock in its mouth, but I was actually seeing the dog with the mail. And then when I looked down the street and saw the UFO, I knew what it was immediately, but as I took a closer look, it was like it morphed into, oh no, it's not that. Okay, it was just a plane of some kind of hovering over the street. And it's just like, is that telling? Is that the Lord trying to tell me to not be deceived? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think so, but I don't know if that's intended for me or just for, in general. But yeah, that was my dream. I wanted to share it with you guys. I hope you find it interesting. Let me know if you guys have been hearing the phrase, "It's time," in your own lives. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I still keep hearing the phrase, "Get your house in order." And so my husband and I and our daughter, we're very actively trying to do that, whatever that is. I do think that maybe some of that phrase, "Get your house in orders," intended towards my general household, like the members within it, and like extended family and stuff, than my physical dwelling. But I'm taking both into account. I am still nesting, as I had mentioned before, but now I'm hearing more and more of this "it's time" phrase also. So let me know if you guys are experiencing any of that too. I'd love to hear some of your stories. Make some comments. I do read all of your comments, even if I don't always respond. I do read them. I thank you for them. I thank you for your prayers, your support, and your love. And by support, I just mean like emotional support via comments. I don't monetize on this channel at all. I don't plan on it. I never will. I haven't heard anything about YouTube monetizing on it, but if it is, I'm sorry, it's not me. But I also don't think I get that many views, so I haven't set off the alarm to the YouTube overlords. So, but I am praying for all of you, and for any of you that don't know Christ, now is the time. The gospel is good news. That's literally what the word gospel means. Good news. And the good news is that you are not condemned by sin if you believe on Christ. That we are all sinners. We have all fallen short of the glory of God. And God loved us so much that He sent His own Son, God in the flesh, so that He could die on the cross Himself and atone for our sins. He rose from the dead, defeating and conquering death and sin, so that whoever believes on Him, believes that He is Lord, believes that He did that for you, shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And by perish spiritually, although some of us will not perish physically also because the rapture, but most people perish physically, but they will not perish spiritually, because they've believed on Christ, and they will be resurrected, and their souls are already in heaven. They will live forever with the Lord. And it's a beautiful thing. It's so incredible. It's so, I have my personal background. I have a history of anxiety. I have a history of stress-induced headaches. I have mainly anxiety. And in all honesty, like with everything that's going on and all the horrendous things that you see going around, I have such peace in my own personal well-being with the Lord. And that's something that I can't say I've always experienced, because I would have primarily health anxiety. When things would go wrong with my health, that's what would spike up my anxiety. But I feel like the Lord has been working in me and working with me to get rid of that, to shed that, and to trust on Him as my personal Savior. He will personally save me. I don't need anything else. And even if I do need something else, it doesn't have to work if I don't have God. If God doesn't will me to be saved, if He doesn't will me to see His mercy, if He doesn't will me to be healed, there's nothing that human hands can do to save me. Plain and simple. And that aspect of just knowing that He has plans for me that are good, and His plans for me are wonderful, and that He is going to, He has plans to prosper me, and goodness He has in store. You know, we see this in the Bible. There's songs written about it. You know, it's trusting in the Lord, trusting on Him for every aspect of our lives, 100% faith in Him, and confidence. And it really does alleviate all that anxiety, all that doubt, you know, of this life, of what's going to happen, of anything. You know, we don't have to be worrying about that. We just have to be looking to Him, and He will prevail for us. And so, yeah, I mean, if you haven't believed on Christ, believe on Him, put your faith on Him, and when trials come your way, that is your source of strength. That is your source of foundation, of stronghold. That's what you can hold on to with all of your might, and it will keep you through the storm. Hands down, I won't get into it now, but I am a testament to that. I have received so many miracles in my life. You know, medical doctors have stated that I have experienced medical miracles, and it's true, and it's real, and it's something that you can hang your hat on. Also, side note, so I took my daughter to go see the Paw Patrol movie, which was really cute, by the way. But before the movie started, during the credits, you know how it goes through the different movies that are coming out soon. Well, one of the movies that's coming out soon is the Addams Family movie 2 or something like that. And as I was watching it, I mean, I was just sick to my stomach watching it. Like, I feel like before I might have overlooked it. It was dark, it was grimy, gloomy, you know, very goth, very morbid, all this stuff, but you know, it was still kind of funny, and it's quirky, and it's pretend. But the more I'm looking at it, the evil one is literally showing his face so plainly and laughing at everyone, laughing in everyone's face that can't see it. Like, the joke is on all those who refuse to see. The fact that it's the Adams family, who is a family of death, those who are in the Adamic, who come from the Adamic line, which is all people, right? We are born into spiritual death. We are all in the Adams family, okay? And then those who believe on Christ are saved through Jesus, have life through Jesus. But it's glorifying the Adamic, the Adams family, those in the Adamic state of spirituality who have not believed on Jesus. It's glorifying living a life of gloom and death and destruction and torture and evil. The daughter tortures her brother with a voodoo doll, and the brother blows things up and hurts people, and the father is intentionally trying to make his family miserable for things that they would obviously not like, even if it seemed quote unquote normal. They've got dead and distorted and mutilated family members and friends. They eat nasty things. Like, it's sick. And they are the Adams family. They glorify death. And it's just like, as I was watching this, it was just like, I wanted to cover my daughter's eyes. But by the time I thought about it, like, it was already over, because I was just so absorbed into watching it. Like, I needed to be covering her eyes from even seeing the trailer. It was sick. Sickening. It was, don't recommend it. But nevertheless, it's eye-opening at how blatant things are getting. And as we approach the Feast of Trumpets, now is a time for prayer. Now is a time of togetherness. Now is a time to lift each other up and pray for one another and encourage one another, because the Lord is coming, and he's coming soon, and hopefully at the last trump we will hear the shout of the archangel, and we will all be caught up. God bless you all. I'm praying for you all, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.